Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. You know, the Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job.
I find it interesting because apparently his Truth Social account posted an opposite message, more warlike message. And I haven't seen it, but like if that's the case, it shows that the person typing on Trump's account may not be in coordination with Trump or may have a more interesting agenda. But, okay, let's talk a little bit about regime change. I see a lot of people, especially on Twitter, that are advocating for regime change. I don't know why, though. The idea of regime change is like, okay, so like the bad guys go away, and all of a sudden the good guys come up. And the only reason that someone believes that this is the case is because they watch a lot of Marvel movies, or they watch a lot of pop cultural things. But in the real world, that's not how it works. Like when you take down a regime, you create a power vacuum, and usually like the people that come back, they may be even worse than the first people that you got rid of. And getting rid of the first people, right, like regime change, usually means people dying. Like you're killing people, literally, right? Like it means conflict, it means kinetic force. And not only that, like you're also making a lot of enemies. Like let's assume for a second this hypothetical scenario. Like let's say 50 years down the line, America is experiencing a huge depression. Massive economic problems, crime rate is skyrocketing, even worse than now, drugs on every street, like it's really bad. And you got a president that comes up and he's actually oppressing people, you know, cracking down on free speech, restricting people's weapons, whatever. And in response, like China comes in and bombs the living shit out of the country. And they do regime change. Let's say they're successful. Right? Now the question is like the Americans that come up from the ruins, the ones that managed to survive the Chinese bombardment and probably like had Chinese troops on the ground. How will you feel about China? Like do you view them as liberators or do you view them as a chaotic force? And so like the people that keep wanting for regime change, I'm wondering like why did you want for peace? Like was it so bad 2 years ago? Was your life really that bad 2 years ago to the point that you want conflict now? Isn't the economy fucked enough as it is? Like, didn't COVID fuck your way of life? Didn't the war with Russia fuck your way of life by increasing gas prices and everything, right? Now you want another conflict? Like, when is it enough? Why are you so bloodthirsty? Like why can't you just have enough? Let the Iranians solve their own problems. If they're going to revolt, then let them revolt by themselves. And so I do think that Trump is actually trying to follow his mandate because a lot of people were saying that he's a warmonger. No, I think he's just surrounded by warmongers. I think like that's part and parcel of Washington, D.C. Like they created a complex system that even when you have a president that doesn't want to play ball, the system tries to rearrange him. See, the thing that I believe happened, and this is my opinion, I generally think like the whole conflict between Israel and Iran is built around spheres of influence. The Middle East is the place in the world that provides around 20% of the oil that people have. And so like whoever controls the Middle East can actually destabilize world economies. Like throughout human history, ever since we use oil, that region of the earth was incredibly important. And I think like even in the future, unless we find a new source of energy, like the biggest empires, whoever is in charge is going to fight over that area. And so with that in mind, I do believe that now that Russia is busy with Ukraine, people in the Middle East saw an opportunity of settling some debts. And this is probably what happened with Syria. Like all of a sudden Bashar al-Assad was taken down, right? Swiftly, almost overnight. Why? Because Russia is occupied in Ukraine. And I do think like the conflict between Israel and Syria also is happening now for the same reason. Russia is occupied with Ukraine. However, I do think that Donald Trump doesn't want to get involved because he was elected on a non-interventionist platform. Like, the American people made it very vocal that they don't want any more forever wars. And it's their decision, right? Like, America is democracy. They voted for that. And so, Israel says, well, Iran is making nuclear weapons. Okay, the United States, like Trump said, all right, well, I sent some bombers, like, no more nuclear weapons. Got rid of them. And so he's basically trying to take the beef off the table. But other people try to put the beef back on the table. So I think, like, this is what we're witnessing, right? As him, like, going out and saying he doesn't want regime change is making it very difficult for people to now operate in public behind his back. Because, like, what he's saying is, like, no, this is American policy now. I think, like, many politicians in America actually are really upset about the situation. Because the way it works, like, you got the lobbyists and you got the interest groups, and they are pushing towards intervention. But then the American voter doesn't want intervention. So now the politician is forced to choose between the funding versus the voter. And it's a difficult choice. Like, if you are a politician, like, trust me, it's difficult. If you choose the people, doesn't mean you're going to win re-election. The main job of a politician is not to serve the people. The main job of a politician is to be re-elected. And when you understand this, you can understand a lot of the decisions that they're making. And so, with that in mind, they probably don't like the conflict. They're probably livid about it, like they want it to go away. And I think, like, Donald Trump managed to at least try some maneuvering to try and make it go away. The problem is that the two countries, like, they have so many grievances and they have so many problems that have been bottled up over the last couple of decades that they actually want to fight it out. Not fight it out, like, with boots on the ground and actually militarily, but, like, throw rockets at each other. At least at this point. The issue, though, is that, as I mentioned before, the Middle East is of huge strategic importance for mankind. A conflict there can destabilize trade routes. Destabilized trade routes will make gas prices go up, will make your way of life even more shit. And so this is why Trump is trying to stop it. It's like he's trying to stabilize the economy. And unfortunately, the economy had a lot of shock therapy recently. Like, we got, as I mentioned before, we got COVID, we got the conflict with Russia and Ukraine, we had massive printing of money, and now we're having this bullshit. And so most reasonable people, like, want this bullshit to go away. And unfortunately, though, the bullshit keeps coming back. And so we'll see what happens. You gotta take into account, just because you're president, you can't do really whatever you want. Because you still need the consent of your party. Not for this issue. But you need the consent of your party, like, for instance, when you want to pass a legislation. And if your party says, oh, you didn't pass what I wanted, we're not passing this, well, you're in a pickle, right? You can't rule the country alone. America is not a dictatorship. So, in a way, he's got to do a very difficult job. He's got to balance his party members, his politics, balance what the people want. And so I think, like, this is the showmanship. It's like, yes, he sent a couple of airplanes that had bunker buster bombs, displayed the American force, and then flew back. Mission accomplished, right? What more do you want? So in a way, like, he did the performance that's required of him. We'll see where this goes. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in my live stream. The link is pinned into the comments. Take care.